There we are. All right. Hello. Welcome back. Another episode here. Streaming a day early because can't interfere with Mother's Day. Very important. But watching on YouTube, it'll be at your regularly scheduled programming. Anyway, uh, go ahead and introduce our guest here. Go ahead and talk about yourself and what you do in speedrunning.
Sure. So I'm Tebt W. I'm from Southeast Ontario, Canada. I've been speedrunning for almost 10 years now, since 2015. It's been a great journey. I'm mostly known for the Crash series, especially Crash 1. I've held lots of records in that and been running it for 10 years. I'm also just always involved with the community, moderate leaderboards, moderate discords, a lot of good friends, and it's been a hell of a journey. Been to a few marathons in person and online, and yeah, couldn't be happier with that.
Yep. I mean, decades, pretty long time to be going at it, for sure.
Definitely.
So, a lot to talk about. And I know next to nothing about the Crash series. I do have a PlayStation. Eventually, we'll get there, but I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
gotten there yet. So I am excited to learn more. So, um,
yeah. The funny thing is, I was always more of a Nintendo guy. Crash is pretty much the only PlayStation series I ever really cared for.
hmm,
So yeah, I can relate to a
go
lot more
figure.
Nintendo stuff in PC gaming,
Yeah.
less
Oh yeah, PC.
PlayStation
I know nothing.
than you'd think.
I've always been
Yeah,
a console person, and yeah,
yeah,
especially Nintendo. But that actually does reflect in what I run. So.
yeah.
But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and get started here with the first question of how you found out and got started 10 years ago.
Yeah, so I've known about speedrunning for a long time, probably longer than most people who do it now. I want to say maybe 2007 or 2008. The first speedrun I saw was a run of SMB3 any% before the credits warp was discovered. It later turned out to be a task, and you might know the one I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about. It
I,
was called something like
I've had
Guy
so
Beats
many
Mario
people.
3.
Yeah, I've had so many people say that was their introduction. Actually,
Oh,
it's kind of
really?
yeah. Oh yeah,
Interesting.
it's yeah. Very likely. Like if you discovered it in the late 2000s, it was because of that. But yeah, the
Yeah,
Morimoto tasks.
yeah. When when I was younger watching it, I didn't know it was a task. I thought it was just really good gameplay, and yeah, it was titled "Some Guy Beats Mario 3 in 11 Minutes," and that title always stuck with me too. And it
Mm-hmm.
had a funny title card at the start, like Super Mario Bros. 3 Time Attack Video, and it was on the Japanese version, which I now know is much slower because of those fade-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I always watched speedruns after that on YouTube, but I feel like back then it was mostly TASes on YouTube, like a lot of TASes, not a whole lot of RTA stuff.
Yeah, it
I
feels
think the
like those
RTA
blew
stuff
up
was
a lot more than
yeah,
other stuff, at least on YouTube. But I wasn't really around there to know, or at least I wasn't looking at that content yet to know for sure. But I know there's a lot
yeah,
of bored god plays X game, and it's usually a task or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, of Tetris or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of grew up on like pre 2010s YouTube, in a way. A lot of
Yeah,
nostalgia for that.
I did a lot as well, but I wouldn't remember most of what I saw. I knew it was never any speedrun stuff, I don't think.
Yeah,
But oh well, the algorithm wasn't tailored to my every need yet, I guess. We
yeah,
eventually got there.
yeah. Now it's real catering.
Oh yeah. Now
Tries
it's
to be.
nothing but speedrunning. And
Yeah,
you know what? I'll take it.
yeah. Of course, I watched lots of Let's Plays and stuff like that on YouTube, walkthroughs, whatever, mainly of retro games.
Hmm.
So you can see where that kind of led to.
Yeah. Much easier to
Um,
watch a video than set it all up yourself because I'm sure emulation wasn't very perfect yet.
yeah, and of course I was a kid back then, so didn't have money. Didn't want
Hmm.
to ask my parents for new stuff all the time like that.
Or old stuff even.
Yeah, yeah, literally old stuff.
Makes sense.
Um, Another thing I think got me into speedrunning was I've always been the type of guy to replay games I like a lot, and some of my friends still make fun of me for this.
Hmm.
Uh, like I'll instead of just playing new games, I'll just be replaying the same game for the like 100th time, just because I like it a lot and I can find new ways to enjoy games. And you can see how that relates to getting into speedrunning. You play the game over and over, reset forever, grind it forever, practice it forever, and it's perfect. I think if you really like the game,
Oh yeah.
you know.
Yep. It's a perfect segue. If you're already playing it over and over for really no reason, now you can give it a reason.
Yeah. And there were times if a game I liked a lot had a time counter on a save file or whatever, I would try to do the best I can with that. You can see where that led to.
Very natural progression.
Yeah. um, my main gaming hobby and focus before speedrunning, at least for like the early 2010s, was Team Fortress 2. Even back then, like by 2015, I had several thousand hours into it and I was considering getting into the competitive scene because it had a pretty solid competitive scene, and it still does. But back then, it was even bigger. I was considering getting into it because I thought I was getting quite good at the game, but I ended up actually just quitting the game entirely, like a few months before I started speedrunning, because it made me way too frustrated.
Fair enough.
And my friends will still jab me for that now, because sometimes if I play it again, like in a call, I'll start getting tilted, and it
Mhm.
sounds really funny.
The classic competitive things.
Yeah, good times. It's funny because when I'm doing a speed run and like say I choke a world record or something at the end to complete nonsense, I'll just be like, ah, damn, that sucks. But meanwhile, I die in a pub in TF2 and I want to smash my desk. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm
Good.
I'm definitely not quite that chill about losing stuff, but
Yeah, though I tend to run games that don't have too much BS,
yeah, I mean same. I hate
so that
RNG
helps.
so much, so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
obviously reflects in what I play often, but yeah, I mean, I would always rage a lot in like competitive games as well, and it kind of stuck in speedrunning for a while. I think I've gotten better over time, but yeah, I mean,
yeah. It can be tough, and
if you're
as you
passionate
grow,
about something, obviously you're gonna be upset
yeah,
when things don't go your way. That's just how it is.
it's natural.
Mm-hmm.
I think as I've gotten older too, like just have better control over that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I quit TF2 in 2015, I needed a replacement of some kind because I played that game almost every day for like 4 years. So needed some kind of a replacement. I was still in high school back then, and it was the summer, so endless free time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I said before, I had known about speedrunning for a long time, but I finally decided to try it myself sometime around that summer of 2015. Um, my first RTA speedrunning experience was Crash 1 for the PS1 in 2015. However, I did some time trials of Crash games a month or two before that. And one of those Crash games was Crash: The Wrath of Cortex. It was the first one released for the PS2. I had it on Xbox 360. And I ended up doing some time trial runs, and I submitted my scores and proof to some Crash fan site. I don't remember what it was called, but it had like a time trial leaderboard. And then not long after that, I discovered Cyberscore, which is a fairly popular site. You might have heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's for high scores, time attacks, whatever, and submitted my times there. So I guess that was the like definitive first speedrunning experience, even though it wasn't the RTA common stuff. But it was
Mm-hmm.
a good memory. I also did some Crash 3 time trials, but I had to emulate that because I didn't have any PlayStation hardware at home.
Yeah. So some Crash games were on Xbox. Hmm.
Yeah, Wrath of Cortex was the first game to have a multi-platform release. It was on Xbox and GameCube as well.
Hmm.
And we had an OG Xbox for 6th gen, so that's how I grew up with that game.
Makes sense.
And we don't have the OG Xbox anymore. But I had a 360 at that time, and I could play Wrath of Cortex.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to be able to submit it to CyberScore because you can't submit anything on CyberScore if you use an emulator, which I guess makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, like Twin Galaxy stuff.
Um,
Maybe not as strict,
yeah,
but
yeah. The funny thing about CyberScore is all you need for proof is just an image, like a camera pointed at your TV. But
mm,
you can still get on the leaderboard without any proof. You just won't have a check mark next to it. It's weird. People always made fun of CyberScore for that, which is fair. It's not the
yeah.
greatest website.
Well, at least it exists and people use it,
Yeah,
and they have some sort of verification system.
yeah. Like if there's an obviously cheated time, someone will step in and remove it.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, I've never
So
browsed the site, so I'm not too familiar with it, but I have heard its name quite a bit.
yeah, yeah. I think it's been around for a long time.
Sounds like it. Yeah, I've never been into the high score scene really, so it's probably why I never
Yeah,
got interested in it personally. It's cool they have like time attacks and stuff. I assume it's anything with just like some sort of in-game counter.
yeah. So moving on, not long after that, I want to say in August, I'm not sure when my first ever RTA run was, but it was definitely Crash 1 any percent. My first time, I believe, was a 108 in any percent. And then I got a 102, and then I got under 1 hour. I think it was a game I had a lot of experience with casually, so I was able to improve at a rate faster than most people. Um, I knew back then I wanted to speedrun something like a game I was familiar with, because I knew it would make the learning process much smoother. And I narrowed that down to either SMB3 or Crash 1, and I ended up choosing Crash 1.
Hmm. And how did
And I
you
think I
play
could.
Crash 1? Was that also on like Xbox somehow?
No, it was on emulator.
Oh,
That
you were
game's
just
only
playing
on
emulator. Okay.
PS1. Yeah,
Got it.
didn't have any PlayStation hardware yet
Yeah, I
back
figured
then.
it was only on PS1, but okay.
Yeah,
So, yeah, just SRC allows emulated runs
yeah,
for that game. Okay. I didn't know how accurate PS1 emulators were, especially back then.
yeah. It's not bad now. Back then, I think it was a bit of a free for all, but over the
Mm,
years, we added different rules, like which emulators are allowed to use, and for some of them, you actually have to show all your settings at the end of your VOD.
okay. Makes sense.
But yeah, back then, I used an emulator called EPSXE, and back then it was okay, but yeah, it's banned now.
No, well, as it goes sometimes. So,
Yeah,
you played that game a lot on emulator casually then, because you never owned a way to play it physically?
yeah, yeah. Well, we had a PS1 as a kid, so I played it that way.
Oh, okay. I see.
But just a lot of childhood consoles we just didn't end up keeping. They either broke or maybe we
Mm,
sold them, donated them, whatever. I'm not sure.
yeah, the
But
classic
yeah, I had to.
mistake you learn later in
Yeah.
life.
Oh, so many cases of that.
Mm,
So yeah, I did some runs. Like I said, got sub 1 and any percent at some point that same year. I was able to mainly learn off an HDQ 2014 run on YouTube. It was by Kana Paki, who he had the 100% record at the time. And I wanted to mainly learn off the GDQ run because it had commentary explaining everything.
mhm.
Um, as well as the world record at the time for any percent was with a potato webcam.
Mm,
It was really
love that.
hard to see. It was a really low frame rate,
Hell yeah.
but he was a really good player, and he was legit. Kojiro was his name.
Mhm.
Always a legend on the game. But yeah, I didn't really try to learn off that run because he also would have done stuff that was too hard for me to do.
As world records usually do. But yeah, what's running that game
Yeah.
like? Because again, I think I dabbled with it a little bit when it was. I think I have the Insane Trilogy on Switch
Oh
because I
yeah.
wanted to give it a try, and I maybe played it for like an hour and then just never got back into it. So I have like a basic
Yeah.
understanding of some level layouts, but it's like it's a set path, and I feel like you have a base running speed, but I mean you would know. That's just
Yeah.
what
It's
I understand from my very limited gameplay.
Yeah, Crash games are pretty linear. They have a lot of similarities to Donkey Kong Country. I don't know how
Mm.
familiar you are with that SNES trilogy.
Yeah, there's so many classic games I've just never played, but I've
Oh,
checked
okay.
out some speedruns here and there. So obviously, well, DKC is known for its like wrong warps and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mainly the level design and
Hmm.
enemies and stuff like that and the atmosphere that was definitely an inspiration for Crash. So I always make comparisons to it.
I see.
Um, yeah, I like running the game a lot. There is movement tech you can do to speed yourself up. One of which is zigzagging in the air.
Mm.
You're just in the air and you alternate diagonals, and it works because you move faster while going diagonal. So you
I've
just
heard
do
similar uh games of that format having a diagonal thing.
yeah,
Like it just adds more
yeah,
speed because you're going too direct. It's interesting.
yeah, yeah. It's like you go faster diagonally, but you still have to go straight. So you just do like Pythagorean theorem, and you kind of see why it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of games have stuff like that. Like Doom
Hmm.
has SR50s. You strafe at 50 degrees and you go really fast, just because that's how it is. Quake has it too with bunny hopping. You just continue strafing in the air and you gain a ton of speed. Just a lot of 90s games have this kind of quirk for some reason with going diagonal.
Gotta love programming.
Yeah. There's a lot of other cool stuff in Crash 1, uh, but I'll probably get more into it later.
Okay.
Um, where was I? I do have notes for this. Um,
We love preparation.
yeah, I definitely had to prepare and try to remember as much stuff as I can. So the second game I ran was Crash 3. It's called Crash Bandicoot Warped. Um, and back then, Saboom had the record. His name was SSBM stuff. He was always a kind of a big inspiration because he's a really good speedrunner. He still sometimes does runs today. And for that run, I was able to learn off his SGDQ 14 run, I believe. And that was a bit of a tougher game to learn because the routing is kind of complicated. You want to have invincibility as much as possible, and you get that by collecting masks. And you have to route it because it lets you choose between several different levels at a time. And I remember I had a sheet of paper with the routes that like several different people did. And I would reference it during my runs. I think I still have that paper somewhere. Good times.
Yeah, I've never had to deal with a game where I had to write stuff down to that extent. I guess Mario 3 a little bit, just because,
Oh
oh, if
yeah,
Hammer Bro does this, do this. And I never had good notes for that anyway, but.
yeah, yeah. So like I said, I was on emulator
Mhm.
for my first couple of years of speedrunning. Um, and I didn't even have a controller to use on PC, so I actually used keyboard
Oh,
for
God.
Crash. Like I said, I had a lot of experience with stuff like TF2, Quake Live, so using a keyboard for a 3D platformer was not a big deal to me. But a lot of people are like, how did you do that? Like especially for Crash 3, where it has a lot more movement stuff you have to do,
Hmm.
like a lot more power ups and stuff. But I managed. There was actually a bit of controversy with the zigzag I mentioned. Some people thought that I might have had an advantage on keyboard with that
Mm.
because it's easier to do than on a D-pad.
Yeah.
So it's I wouldn't say it's easier to do. It's more convenient, maybe less strenuous, but you can get that kind of zigzag on a D-pad too. But yeah, there was some slight controversy over that back then, especially as I started getting really good times on emulator.
Hmm. I guess it's always
And
worth a conversation.
yeah, I'll get more into my switch to console uh, later on. Um, then I actually ended up running Crash the Wrath of Cortex. It's the one I mentioned I did time trials on.
Mhm.
I was able to run that on console because, like I said, I had an Xbox 360, though I didn't have a capture card. So the way I figured out to record that was just using my phone. I think I just recorded it with my phone. but I remember there was a way I could like get my phone's camera feed onto my PC and then record it with OBS.
Hmm.
And I think I ended up doing that for something, even for using like webcam, like really scuffed webcam. Good times.
Yeah, the hand cam I use on my streams is my phone getting in a website linking to OBS in OBS. So I still use similar methods.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea
Free camera.
for a hand cam.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheaper.
Well. Anyway.
Um. So yeah, I just throughout 2015, I didn't do a huge amount of speedrunning. Just those few crash games. Nothing huge. No huge grind or anything. I'd say it's 2016 where I really got into it, especially towards the summer where I had more time again because I was still in high school. Um, I got really good at Crash 1 throughout 2016. I believe I was able to get top 3 in both categories on emulator, which was pretty impressive back then because emulator loses a lot of time to PS2 because the game loads much faster on PS2 with an
That
option
sounds
you can use to
backwards.
make the there's an option you can select to make the disc rotate faster.
Oh,
Like a PS1 disc spin at a PS2 speed, and it just speeds up the loading screens.
interesting.
So you were always losing time on emulator, but even back then I was able to get really good times, even with that disadvantage, just because I was really, locking in on the game, finding strats myself, even running with people, making friends, grinding the game together.
There are a lot of races back then.
Yeah, I haven't done a race in a few years, but back then, like my friend group would race crash games all the time, or even like a blind race of a game or something like that. We don't do that as much anymore. Some people have
Yeah.
kind of moved on from speedrunning.
No one really does races anymore. Not because around then was like, peak SRL times, but
Yeah,
no one
yeah,
really
for
uses
sure.
that anymore.
Yeah,
Rest,
nowadays it's like racetime.gg.
yeah, but I mean, I haven't done a race in like, you set it up and do it in like years myself.
Yeah,
No one just
yeah,
really does it anymore.
yeah. I guess it was just kind of a fad of the past.
Kind of a shame, but it is what it
Some
is.
people, some people, I guess too. They grow up, they have less free time. It's harder to
Oh
arrange
yeah.
races, and like I said, several of my friends have kind of moved on from speedrunning, which is totally cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll talk about moving to console. In early 2017 was when I finally decided to do it, after I had previously said I was never going to get console. Um, it was a huge challenge, mainly because I had to adjust to doing that zigzag technique I talked about with controller instead of keyboard. So I had to pretty much learn it all again, and it was very tough. It took me honestly years to be able to get like fully competent zigzag of what a top Crash 1 runner should have. But I eventually did it. It was difficult. It definitely set me back. I wasn't able to just jump onto console and get that time save from the discs thing immediately. I had to pretty much learn the whole game again.
Hmm.
But in the end, it was worth it for sure.
We love console supremacy.
Yeah, and even like less input lag and stuff like that is always a huge plus. And I eventually
yeah.
moved to a CRT. I used an LCD for like a year, then I moved to a CRT.
Perfect.
Later on in 2018, I got my first world record in Crash 1. It was 100%, and it's a very interesting story because we called it the Koji Curse. It was Kojiro, a Brazilian runner who had the world record in 100%, and he hadn't had it for several years, I think, straight. And a lot of us, like high-level runners and friends, decided we really wanted to beat it but we just couldn't for several months. Just nonstop resets, chokes in the end, getting input dropped at the end, stuff like that. But eventually, I was able to pull through in I think it was summer 2018, where I beat the record by like 20 seconds or something. And that was my first time getting a record in speedrunning. And then I lost it a month or so later because Koji absolutely demolished the record. He beat it by like a minute and 20 seconds or something, which was crazy back then. And then that record stood for a good year, and then I got the 100% record back. And I've actually had it since. I still have the 100% record, and I've lowered it by several minutes, so that's cool.
How long's that run?
It's a little over an hour now. The record's a 101.24. Back then it was a 105.
Wow.
Yeah. Then the cool thing about that Koji curse is that everyone eventually beat Koji's old time. Like they got under 105.43 or whatever the record was. So that's cool.
Happy ending all
around. Yeah. Out of those people running the game at the time, I was the only one who really pushed Hundo further. And instead, like, new people came along later on and like got closer to me. But one runner, White Paws, good friend of mine and great Crash One runner. He was always more focused on any percent, and he got the first ever 39 in any percent in 2019, which was super impressive. He definitely put so much time into that category, so much grinding. It was insane. I actually had the any percent record for a few weeks in fall 2019. Then I lost it when he got the 39. And I'm glad he got the 39 first, because he deserved it more. The only reason I was really like catching up to him in any percent is because a new strat was found, where you save your game and then game over in a certain spot in a level, and it puts you at the next one because the game is really funny.
That's good.
Yeah. There is that whole 100% thing in 2018 where everyone was trying to beat Koji is actually like fully documented in a video about Crash 1 speedrunning that was made by Hamilton. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. You might not have. He doesn't really make content anymore, it's sad, but when he did make content, it was super, super high quality. It was called The Many Peaks of Crash 100%, The Art of Speedrunning, and it's almost an hour long, and the production quality on it is crazier than you'd think.
What's the name of the channel?
Hamilton. I can link it in chat if that's cool.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Sure, I'll just link the video.
Interesting.
It has almost 300k views on YouTube now, and everyone loves it.
All right. Yeah, I'll have to take a peek.
Yeah, I've always felt grateful that, my experience with friends and grinding the game is kind of documented in a YouTube video like that. I feel like a lot of people don't have that sort of thing. Like, stories like that just get lost to time,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very thankful there's so many content creators nowadays that specialize in all different kinds of games and stuff, so usually these stories are documented somewhere.
Yeah.
Can't happen for everyone because there's just so many people, so many games, etc. But when they are there,
of course.
Just a good time for everyone.
Yeah. Crash 2 and 3 don't really have something like that. Hamilton wanted to make videos on Crash 2 and 3 and also Spyro 1, 2, and 3 because the communities have always been kind of intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
But he just never came back and made more videos. Maybe he will in the future. But
I mean, making videos of high quality is a lot of work, so.
Oh yeah, he was making that video for maybe a year in advance. He let me know in DMs so I could give him information.
Yeah, I will never fault anyone for taking some time off from that. I know video work is just incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it's not my suit for sure. But I would say Hamilton gives, like, he's as good as Summoning Salt, if not better. I don't really care which one's better, but Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
would never
really
rank people. I'm just like,
yeah,
cool content. I like
yeah,
content.
yeah. It's definitely very good though, and I hope it doesn't sound biased because he has a Crash Fun video. I promise
No,
it's not.
fair enough.
And throughout those years, I went back to other Crash games, like Crash 3. Ran that on console as well. Wrath of Cortex ran that more. Eventually, I ended up picking up another Crash game. It's called Crash Bandicoot Entranced, and it's actually for the Game Boy Advance.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
the first time I ran it, it didn't go so well. I started with the 100% category, which was a big mistake because it's a really tough category for beginners to that game.
Hmm.
But I eventually went back to it later on with a better mentality and stuff like that, and started with any percent. And I was actually able to get both any percent records in that game. I lost them semi recently. I think later this year I want to try and get them back, and also get the 100% record for the first time because that record stood for like 8 years.
Oh, wow. It's like my entire career.
Yeah. Yeah, that game I ran on emulator. I do have a Game Boy Advance, but I don't have a capture card, and I
Mm,
don't really mind running a GBA game on emulator. Like to me, it doesn't feel as bad. It's just much simpler for recording.
yeah, I don't know how you'd even capture GBA other than like the Game Boy player on GameCube.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that some people actually do that, but I don't have a GameCube and I
Mhm.
don't have any interest in getting one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Um, I also ran a few non-Crash games. I wasn't always just solely Crash. It's always been the main focus, but I've actually ran SMB1 back in 2016-17. Darbian is always a huge inspiration, not just for that, but for Crash as well. I watched his stream almost every day in 2016 and 17. Miss him a lot.
Inspired you for Crash?
Like his mentality, I guess.
Oh,
His
okay.
yeah,
That
yeah,
yeah, fair.
his stoicism, I guess. Yeah,
Yes, good times.
yeah, good man. I also ran SMW a bit. This was all on emulator. Didn't have
Hmm.
a NES or SNES back then.
Yeah.
I just ran a 11 exit glitchless for maybe a week or two. But I do have a SNES now with a flash cart, so it'd be cool
Ooh.
to go back and learn 96 exit or something like that.
Ooh. That's a big undertaking.
Yeah, I have a friend that wants to learn it as well, and we always joke like, "This is the year we're finally going to do it." And 4 years later, still haven't done it. But I
Oh,
did end
yeah.
up,
Been there.
yeah, I
Uh,
did end up running a Donkey Kong Country
ooh.
last year. That was the first time I ran it. I tried to pick it up in 2017, but I just ended up not finishing learning it. It was a lot to learn.
Oh, yeah.
I think last year it took me 2 weeks to learn at least, because I ended up running a 101% instead of all stages. I don't really know why, but yeah, it had a tutorial, I guess, so that helped. It was a really fun time, and I was able to run it on console with a flash card, do the learning on console with the you know,
Mhm.
built-in save states. It was a really good experience. I ended up getting a 49 in 101% without any jump rolls or super jump rolls, which are frame perfect. I wanted to like try to run it without having to get like the frame lottery, as they called it.
Hmm.
Because I was never good at one frames. Crash doesn't really have one frames, and if they do, like it's at 30 FPS instead of 60, so it's way easier.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I'd like to run the other two DKC games in the future, like DKC 2 and 3, and do those 100% categories, and do a trilogy run or something like that. Because I've done that for Crash as well, like
Mhm.
trifecta runs. always thought those were fun.
Yeah.
But Crash always calls me to come back. Improve records in Crash 1 or improve times in other Crash games. So
Yeah.
it's always tough to pick up something. It's
I
like
mean,
it's more comfortable to just stick with what you already know.
mm-hmm. Oh, I definitely feel that. No escape ever.
Yeah, no escape.
Especially when it's a popular game. It's just there are zero breaks in the community ever.
Yeah. And Crash has never been like super popular, but within the community it feels like it's popular, you know what I mean?
I mean, it's got quite a few runs.
Yeah, it does for sure.
Pretty high
And
up
it
there.
helps, your Twitch viewers will be more likely to stick around if you stick with what you're known for.
Mm, yeah.
I tend to not care about that as much as other people, but I do think about it.
I mean, yeah, it's just how streaming works, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But at least DKC, it's still a platformer, and like I said earlier, there's so many parallels to Crash that a lot of people stuck around for that, so that was cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
need to
also
play
ran
those.
Lego Star Wars.
Oh, the complete saga.
Yeah, Complete
Oh,
Saga on PC.
cool.
Um, I ran it a bit in 2018, maybe a couple weeks. I ran a category called Free Play RTA, is what it was
Mm-hmm.
called back then. It's where you can come back with any characters,
Mm-hmm.
and you can skip cutscenes, which is huge for me. I don't like the idea of sitting through like 45 minutes of cutscenes in a run.
I was gonna say like a third of that any percent is cutscenes.
Yeah, that's why I never wanted to run that. But in free play, you don't have that. And another big thing for free play is there's a tech you can do called a triple jump, where if you are playing a character with a lightsaber and you do a force like a lightsaber slam and then switch characters immediately, you get another jump. So you can combine that with a double jump and get a triple jump, and it makes for a lot of really cool skips and stuff.
Hmm.
Really cool run. The record's gone down like half an hour since I ran it. I think that was back in 2018. I think.
Hmm.
I ended up dropping it because I actually found it quite frustrating. I don't know if it was because there was a lot of RNG. I don't remember, but there was a lot of soft locks. Like every
Oh.
day I ran that game, I found a new soft lock,
Hmm.
or I got stuck and had to exit back to the hub, and it was just so frustrating. Like you shoot two buttons too quickly and it soft locks. You get stuck in a corner, you're soft locked.
Hmm.
But other than that, it was a really cool run, and it's changed a lot now. So I guess I wouldn't put a return to that out of the cards. But another thing that sucks is that Twitch has cracked down on the copyrighted music on their site in the
Mm-hmm.
last few years, and you know the game's filled with Star Wars music, like actual licensed Star Wars music. So if you want to stream that, you pretty much have to do it with the music turned off, which is that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
As a Star Wars fan, like missing out on the score, like John Williams' score, is just it's kind of a deal breaker.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I also ran Simpsons Hit and Run. That's actually my favorite game of all time.
Oh.
I've ran it a couple times on and off, but never super long, like never a super long grind or anything. It is kind of off-putting how much RNG is in the game with the traffic,
Mm. Yeah.
but it is a really cool run, and I like the game a lot. I'm sure I'll run it again at some point. I especially liked the 100% category, and that record I think has gone down like maybe 20 minutes since I last ran it, so that's crazy. Actually, more like 30 minutes.
Wow.
It's a really cool run.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'm only familiar because of the summoning salt video.
Yeah, that was a really good video. Yeah, I was surprised he made a video on that. I always like when he kind of strays away from like Nintendo stuff.
Mm.
I mean I love Nintendo stuff, of course, but seeing stuff like the Lego Star Wars, the Char, that Halo 2 video he made,
Oh yeah.
those are really cool.
mean, I'll be honest, I just like anything he puts out, but yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's always quality.
But that's part of why, yeah, I like when there's new stuff because then I'll watch it and it's new. I'm like, and I
Yeah,
still find it interesting, even though it's not something I'd generally be interested in.
yeah. It's the classic like falling asleep to a summoning salt video.
I'm always awake. Don't worry. I watch the whole thing.
Yeah. Um. So I mentioned earlier I've been to a lot of well, not a lot, but I've done a lot of online speedrunning marathons. I have a whole pace bin
Hmm.
of all of them I've ever done. I don't do it as much anymore because I don't know. I guess I'm not as big into the commitment, and I've done it lots of times before.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm in a similar boat recently.
yeah,
Like I'll only do
yeah,
like the few in-person runs online. I should change it, but I don't know. I just feel like I've done it so much from the past.
yeah, yeah. Should never force it, of course.
Hmm. And that just leaves room for more new people to do it, right? So
Yeah, of course.
not a bad thing.
Yeah, I remember the first online marathon I did was 2016. It was called Retro Razors, and I ended up getting a really good uh, run. I did crash 190%. I got a really good run for me at the time, really good showing. But then I go back in the VOD, and the audio is absolute trash,
Mm,
like really echoey and loud and distorted. It, yeah,
the fun of online stuff.
yeah. My first in-person event I went to was a Canadian speedrunning event called No Reset. They usually hold stuff in Quebec, like they're all French speaking. But one time they had an event in a city not too far away from me, so I went and did a Crash 100% run there, and that was my first ever in-person speedrunning event, and it went so well. I played really well despite being super nervous because I had never done anything like that before in my life.
Hmm.
Really good time. I didn't know anyone there except for the guy I talked to online, like who invited me to it. So after I did the run, I just left.
Hmm.
But yeah, sadly, Canada doesn't have a great speedrunning marathon scene.
Hmm.
Like no reset, like I said, they're usually in Quebec, which is like 15 hours away from me.
Yeah,
So
I'd say at least America's right down there, and they have a lot. But yeah, I can't say I'd recommend that at the moment. But it
yeah,
is
yeah,
what it is.
uh, yeah, for sure. Um, Another one I went to was called Games Finished Adequately. It's pretty obscure. I don't know if
Okay.
you heard of them.
No, but I like the name.
Yeah, it's a great name. The guy who runs it is really cool. He kind of disappeared though, I think. I ran Crash 100% again at that. It was held at like some anime convention, I think. Didn't know anyone there except for the guy who ran it. So again, I just did the run and left. But I did another super good showing. I got a really hard skip in Crash 100% uh, live on stream, which I didn't expect, and I actually got a huge round of applause from the audience, which was cool. The only reason I had a large audience is because they were doing Kaizo beforehand, and people, I guess, just stuck around just to see what the hell Crash was.
People sure love their Kaizo.
Yeah. Sadly, that run was never highlighted because, like I said, the guy kind of disappeared after
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So the VOD's lost, which is really sad. But what can you do?
Yeah, I hate when speedrunning media becomes lost for whatever reason. I've
Yeah.
made sure to back up all my stuff. I've only lost run one speedrun I've ever done that I like cared about in my history because like the Twitch highlight corrupted. I don't know
Oh yeah,
what
yeah.
it
I've
is.
heard so many stories of that happening, especially if it's a old highlight.
Yeah, it wasn't like an important run, but like it's I just have one.
Still,
Otherwise, I would have like a complete set of everything I really care about.
yeah,
Other than
yeah,
like a long time ago, if I got like two PVs in a day, I just wouldn't highlight the other one, I guess.
yeah. That's what I usually do.
But yeah, ever since like past 6 years or something, I've highlighted every single PB I've ever gotten. So, just that one. Oh well.
That's good.
Yeah. Got to preserve that media somehow.
Yeah, especially with the whole Twitch thing, a
Oh
100
yeah.
hour limit on VODs. It's
Is
so
that
silly.
is that in full force yet? I know they extended a time period, but I don't know how long that.
No, the deadline is sometime this month. I'm not
Okay,
sure
but not
when,
yet.
but
I see. Well,
when,
I'm not affected by it because again, I stopped making highlights years ago and just put everything on YouTube. So, we're good.
yeah, yeah, I'm
Including
good
all my
too.
all highlights. I backed up onto an unlisted playlist in YouTube, so I'm good
That's
in
good.
that department. But yeah, I am so scared for what could possibly happen.
Yeah,
The
there's
great
even
apocalypse.
there's some ducks I want to get in a row with speedrunners who have even like passed away that I know of. I want to make
Oh
sure their
god.
VODs are backed up somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a really unfortunate thing Twitch is implementing. When
Oh
they
yeah.
first announced it, I was hoping they would cancel it because of the backlash, but
Oh no, of course
evidently,
not.
evidently no.
Luckily, we've had some good preservation efforts put in place, but still, yeah, it's not something people should have to do.
Yeah,
But oh well.
yeah, yeah. I ended up making a second YouTube channel and just putting a bunch of highlights on there.
Mm-hmm.
But there
Yep.
was some stuff like certain obsolete PBs that I'm just gonna let go because I don't think anyone will really care a whole lot.
You can always
Though all
leave it
my
unlisted or something just so it exists. But
yeah, a lot of that stuff is already on my YouTube anyway.
okay,
But like Crash 1 and 3, I like the games I ran the most. I made sure all those obsolete runs are definitely out there somewhere.
that's good. Yeah, I'm all for preservation. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, sucks when there's something trying to affect that, but people seem to be doing a good job working
Yeah,
around it.
yeah, and all the tools people have made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in a fortunate position, but I've seen some people. I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Oh my god.
Yeah, especially massive streamers who've been doing it for like a decade with so many highlights.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Some of the
really,
numbers I've seen, I was just like, oh my.
yeah, like tens of thousands of hours.
Mm-hmm. Crazy stuff, but oh well. At least they gave us some time, and then slightly more time.
Yeah,
Not that that makes everything okay, but at least they
yeah,
could. Knowing Twitch, they could have just said like, "Hey, we have a cap now. Sorry, all your shit's gone now." And they
yeah.
didn't.
That would have been something. Oh man, that's nightmare fuel.
Mm. But we don't live in that timeline, so it's slightly better.
Yeah. Going back to speedrunning marathons, I've been to 3 AGDQs. I've been to AGDQ 19 was my first one. Then there was a large gap between GDQs because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't end up going to another one till 2024, and then I went to 2025. Meeting
We
friends I've known online for several years is always a great time.
all the ones you've been to, I was there.
Yeah, I think I saw you. I think I saw you at the last one, but I'm a really shy and introverted person, so I don't
Mm.
usually go and say hi to like non-close friends.
Yeah,
So
I used to be that way, but after you go to
yeah,
like 10 GDQs, you get over it eventually.
yeah, makes sense. If I see it in another one, I'll say hi.
Very good. But yeah, I was at HDQ 2019. That was the winter storm. Good times.
Yeah, yeah, Maryland.
Yeah. Missed my flight because of the storms. Had to come back.
Oh no.
It was fun. Murder Hallway. Always got to bring up Murder Hallway.
Oh yeah, that like
Hmm.
airport type hallway.
Yeah. Everyone always remember. Anytime
Yeah.
it's brought up on my show, I bring it up. I need like a
Yeah.
I need like a Murder Hallway counter at this point.
Yeah. That's a good name for it as well.
Yeah, it's what we all agreed it was. So,
Yeah, yeah, that was a really fun GDQ.
oh yeah,
Even
I loved the
even a
venue, minus the
yeah,
murder hallway, but
yeah,
it was funny.
yeah,
But the practice room was so huge, and all the other stuff being downstairs, like all this nice carpeting.
yeah. It was really chill.
Yeah.
The only thing that sucked was the overflow hotel situation. I was
Oh,
in the
I didn't.
overflow hotel.
I was not. I was guest five in a four-person room, so I got this lovely thing called the floor. But I did not have to go to an overflow hotel.
That's nice. Yeah, it just sucked because it was like 30 minutes away. There was
Oh my god. Okay.
there was a rail you could take to get to the main hotel pretty
hmm
quick, but yeah.
Yeah, the I know the rail station was right there. That which was nice for, flying into the airport. You could just it took like 30 to 45 minutes depending on where you flew in from, but it took you right at the hotel.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, and then GDQ 24 and 25 had the shuttle. Maybe not shuttle, but the bus to the airport. That was nice.
Yeah, these were the Pittsburgh ones, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
I'm lucky enough to have a friend that lived in the area, so I didn't have to deal with the buses, but
That's good.
yeah, I've always been unsure how travel works when, there's no like direct line like SGDQs used to be at a double tree and that had just direct transportation between the airport and hotel through like a shuttle service from the airport or whatever. And then they moved back downtown and now you have to take like the train from the airport to downtown and then walk like 6 blocks. But
Yeah.
both are that option's still fine, but when it's like
Yeah.
the worst one was AGDQ 2020 in Orlando. There was just nothing. You had
Oh,
to like
really?
Uber or some. Everyone had to like Uber or some shit, taxi, whatever. Yeah, it was. That was
Uh,
less fun, but
yeah. That sounds expensive.
yeah, that was a mess. But that was only a one-time thing, luckily. So, whatever. But good
Yeah, I missed
lord,
out on that GDQ.
nice area. In terms of like weather and stuff to do, but
Yeah, especially
everything
for the
else was
winter.
and like the venue, the hotel was very nice, but everything else about the area. Let's just
Yeah,
say I'm glad they
good
moved.
old, yeah, yeah, good old Florida. I'm sure
Good
they'll
old.
never be going back there.
Didn't have any Florida men moments, luckily, so got out pretty good, I guess. But
That's good.
yeah, no, venue, weather, and everything was very nice. Yeah, but just getting to
That's
the
good.
hotel and everything else, ugh, a mess. But luckily, every other venue I think they've had hasn't been too hard to get to. Like again, Pittsburgh at least has the bus. I've never taken it, but at least it exists. Although I'm sure that's still a bit difficult for people. But
Yeah, see, naturally you gotta time it and stuff like that.
mhm.
On the way back, me and a friend had a flight at a similar time. We took the bus on the way back for GDQ 2025, and it was like 30 minutes late.
Oh, great.
We were actually a few minutes away from just calling an Uber because we didn't want to miss our flight.
Mm.
It, it was rough. Started getting kind of nervous,
Yeah,
but it
that
worked out.
sucks. Worst frame rule ever.
Yeah.
There, I did it,
Yeah, we
chat. Your frame rule joke of the month. Anyway.
classic. We also knew some crash runners in Pittsburgh as well. We knew Stump is a
Oh yeah,
Pittsburgh native.
I
You know
forgot he
Stump?
was. Yeah, I mean he's at every event ever, so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
helps.
yeah,
But yeah, I
yeah.
forgot
That
he did
helps.
Crash
Yeah,
Games. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Really great guy. He had a car. He took us to a couple places and both GDQs, and we also knew Rijiku posted in the chat just now.
hmm
Another Pittsburgh native knew a lot of information. Definitely really helpful.
Yeah. I'd love that location more if it wasn't, Pittsburgh in the winter, and also the hotel is very interesting. The venue is good. The hotel rooms are very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. there's good things and bad things for sure, especially the showers.
Yeah, okay. Like, what are
Like,
they doing with their doors? None of them lock.
yeah,
They don't lock. What are we
yeah,
doing?
exactly, and
What are we doing?
like the door has a window for some reason that's like translucent, but not translucent enough, as my friend described it.
Yeah, no, it's certainly transparent to some extent. They try to blur it, but like why
Yeah,
even?
pretty much forced to use the washroom in the dark so people can't see in.
I'm so confused by their hotel rooms. Yeah, especially the bathroom situation. Just what are we thinking?
Yeah. GDQ 24, I also felt the beds in our room. We did a 4-man room back
Hmm.
then. I felt the beds were way too small, and it didn't help that the person I was sharing the bed with like loved to hog the bed, roll
Hmm.
onto me. So I got such horrible sleep that GDQ.
Hmm.
It kind of soured that event for me. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah,
And then
again, I
the
love everything
next,
else about like the venue. I love the venue layout there, where everything's just
yeah,
like on one floor. You can go from the practice
yeah,
room, walk across. Like at a SGDQ, you have to go up a flight to get to the stream room from the practice room and everything. Like it's
yeah,
still a
yeah,
nice venue. It's just the Pittsburgh one has been the most convenient venue, but it's weighed down by the weather and the hotel rooms.
yeah,
Ugh.
yeah. The weather, even as a Canadian, I gotta say that weather is pretty rough.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but oh well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Luckily, SGDQs are usually just all around like perfect. Like the hotel
yeah,
is nice and the weather's nice, area's nice. It's not too hard to get to, even though you have to take the train and walk a few blocks instead of just having direct service. Like I can recommend an SGDQ easily, which is good.
yeah. I'll I can see myself definitely going to an SGDQ at some point. It just depends on who's going. So I'm not gonna go if I don't have friends going.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Crash the Crash community always had a focus more on HDQs in the past. Like people
Mhm.
always went to HDQs instead of the summer ones, but I think that's kind of changing these days. People will try and go to both if
Hmm.
they can afford it or whatever.
Yeah. I was gonna say it does sound like a lot of the crash community just happens to be in the Pittsburgh area, which I'm sure helps.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like in Northeast US, like
Hmm.
Maryland, New York, places like that.
Yeah.
I every GDQ I've gone to, I've submitted Crash 100%, but it sadly hasn't gotten in. 2019, I even submitted it as a race with White Paws, and we even had a weird incentive thing too to try and get in, but still no
Hmm.
luck, sadly.
Well, the one thing you shouldn't do is give up. So maybe someday.
Yeah. The only thing that is unfortunate, and you kind of mentioned it earlier, like I don't really want to go to the U.S. for the next 4 years,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
it's a rough spot.
I can't argue with that. Oh well.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I
just
don't think GDQ is going anywhere, luckily. So,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I
Anything
totally get it.
anything could happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Crash One hasn't been in a GDQ since 2017. White Paws showed any percent, and then that was a really good showing. It still holds up decently well. Any percent hasn't changed a huge amount since then, actually, but 100% has changed a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
that last showing was AGDQ 2016. So
Oh wow, yeah,
a modern showing is way overdue.
yeah. Here, we.
Even
I was gonna say
getting
we
certain.
haven't.
Go ahead.
We keep. My bad. We didn't really talk about like the 100% run because it sounded like there was some, stuff in that. Obviously, it's gone through a lot of changes over time, so I'm curious to learn a little
Yeah,
more about that category specifically. But anyway, you can
yeah.
say what you're gonna say before getting into it.
Yeah. Just that it's definitely due for a modern showing,
Mm-hmm.
either by
Okay.
me or even a couple other top runners could do a good showing as well.
Yeah, definitely sounds like it.
Yeah. Even getting Crash or sometimes PlayStation as a whole in GDQ can be a little rough. You know, some GDQs will take lots of PlayStation games, but others there'll be like almost none.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
all depends.
this, yeah, this SGDQ, Joester98 got Crash to Insanity in, which he's been trying to submit that for probably almost like 8 years at least, probably. So he
Holy shit.
finally got it in. So that gives me hope that I could get Crash 100 in, or someone else could at some point.
Hmm. Yeah, I believe anyone can get anything in. It's just gonna take some time, just because I've seen how many submissions get put every event, and
Yeah.
oh my god, that's got to be hard.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it can't be an easy process.
No.
And it's no reflection on the runner or the game if it doesn't get in, really.
Oh
You
no,
know?
it's just impossible to accept everyone because of how many submissions they get. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, no. If you get rejected, it is not your fault. It's just,
Yeah.
well, it's probably less than 1% of the runs submitted get in.
Yeah.
Like it.
It
Oh
is
my,
what it
it's
is.
crazy. Like I've just, yeah, I know kind of behind the scenes, like, about the submission process. Wow,
Right.
it is. It is a lot to go through, for sure. So,
Yeah, I have the utmost respect for GDQ staff,
mm-hmm.
but all they do.
It is quite the task, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
My understanding is some people do it as a full-time job, is that right? Like
I
working for
forgot.
GDQ around.
Like, yeah, there's some like full time stuff. I know, like, the games list. What was it? Like, they have, like, 1 or 2 months to go through it, and yeah, you essentially have to do that full time. And there's, like, 10 people or whatever with, like, different areas of focus doing the whole process and deliberating, and oh man, takes some
Yeah.
work for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but yeah, never give up. Someday,
Yeah. Yeah,
someday.
definitely. Someday.
Anyway, gonna have you talk about 100% a little more, like, more
Yeah,
intricate
absolutely.
details, because sounds a little unique.
Yeah, and it's always been kind of the thing I'm known most for in the my favorite speedrunning category and the one I've put the most time into. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Crash 100. So 100% in Crash games usually involves breaking all the boxes in the level, which awards you a gem for that level. Other Crash games have more collectibles and stuff, but Crash 1 is pretty much just gems. And so that forces you to take like pretty unique routes through levels in 100% compared to any percent. There's some levels you unlock as well. Um, there's also a gimmick of colored gems. Some levels, instead of a normal gem, you get a colored gem, and those colored gems actually come back as platforms in previous levels.
Hmm.
So that means you have to do some levels twice, like come back to them later. But some of the biggest skips involve not needing those colored gems and doing it in one visit by doing a skip,
Hmm.
getting to those like side areas that require a colored gem. So there's Jungle Rollers. That's the second level. It needs the green gem. There's a skip for that. It's been known since the game came out. Same with the next level, the Great Gate. Great Gate used to be a lot tougher, but in 2015, around the time I started, a guy named Shoddy found a much more consistent method and safer method. Then there's a Cortex Power Skip. Um, that one has a pretty interesting history. That one you need the blue gem, but you can do a skip. There's like a entrance to the side area that you need the blue gem for, and then there's a exit that would have another blue gem platform. So there's like two different skips basically to get in and out of that side area. And it's gone through so many ways. Like there was a TAS only method, really hard method that was not viable, and just what we have today. And the exit has always been kind of interesting. The exit used to be totally inconsistent. Just we didn't know why. It was basically just random. But eventually we got a crash tasser, or tasser in general, named the 8-Bit Beast to take a look at it. He had done some Crash 3 tasses. He also tasses, I think, Banjo-Kazooie as well. He's a fairly well-known tasser, but he was able to figure it out, and now we have it consistent. And back when I first got the record in Hundo, we were still doing that inconsistent method. So looking back, like with everything else that's hard in the run, I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And then there's a upstream skip. That one requires the orange gem. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's a clip on a wall you can do to get on top of it and get over to the orange gem area without the orange gem to skip a revisit. It's really inconsistent for just a few reasons. You'd have to actually see it to understand it, but basically it just adds a lot. It adds a lot of resets. It's pretty annoying. I've always been the least consistent at it out of all the top runners who've played that game. Everyone else is just way better at it than I am. Yeah, but sadly, it's not really going to change anytime soon. I don't think there's many options to make it more consistent. And the last revisit skip was Rolling Stones. That was actually found late 2022 by a good Crash 1 runner named Luca Dimas. Really good speedrunner and good at finding stuff. He figured out a way to do it. We always kind of thought it would be possible somehow. We just couldn't quite crack it. And yeah, that saved at least 50 seconds maybe off the run. Oh. So my best time before that was found was a 102.28, and then I was able to lower it to 101.24 or 101.14 is my current PB.
Sub 1 win.
Yeah, everyone asks that. I don't think it's actually viable. It might be possible in the future with like some more optimizations, because it's a 3D game. There's a lot of really, really hard strats we could try and get consistent. So I don't want to say never on that one, but right now I don't think it's viable.
Yeah, not feasible at the moment. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So have you found a way to skip like all the colored gems then, or?
No, so there's still Native Fortress, Lights Out, and Boulder Dash. Those are most likely not possible. I'm not going to say impossible, because I'll look like a fool if something gets found, but like if we were able to skip those, it would have to be completely outside the box, because there is layers of death triggers and planes. By death plane I mean like falling into a pit. And the way Crash works is it only loads what is absolutely necessary at the time and what's on screen. And into those like secret paths that you need the color gem for, they're not loaded unless you actually touch the color gem you're supposed to have, because the color gem will be like an elevator up to it or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So it's like basically impossible. Like those 3 levels that still don't have a skip have something like that where it's just not loaded.
I see. Okay.
So like I don't want to say impossible. I try not to use that word too much, like for a skip, but it would have to be so outside the box. It'd have to be like a brand new kind of mechanic discovered to somehow get it loaded without the gem. Because even if you could see it, like it's not solid. So that's another thing Crash does. Like something far away, it'll look like it's there, but it's not. You'll just fall through it. Like if you were able to teleport over there. Yeah. So there's a lot of roadblocks. Even before Rolling Stones was found, like that wasn't really an issue. With Rolling Stones, you basically go into a lower section, which we were able to do, but we couldn't figure out how to break the boxes and how to get out. But Luca figured out how to do it. But that one, again, I always thought that one was possible, but with these remaining revisits, I don't think so.
I see. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting how the game works.
Yeah, so that fact also makes sub 1 hour seem less likely. But it could maybe be possible down the line because Crash 1 features a lot of cycles. It kind of reminds me of like frame rules in Mario 1.
And we're back.
Um, yeah, we're back to the back to
Mm,
the bus stop. Yeah, the game is absolutely filled with cycles, and they're actually on a global timer.
okay.
But you can die on purpose, and it resets the global timer, which will reset the cycles to ideal positions if you die at a good spot.
Oh.
And you can actually, like, say, die in a level, and then if it works out right, you might get a good cycle like 3 stages later, as long as you don't die again or mess up. There's a lot of stuff like that, a lot of possibilities, a lot of trying to get good cycles, but death abusing as little as possible by carrying it from a previous death.
I see.
There's just so much of that. Some levels, like the whole level is cycles. If you end up waiting on everything, you'll lose like 30 seconds in one level.
Damn.
It's a lot. So Crash 1 has some interesting tech. Like there's a way to do a double jump off moving platforms. It's like a 2 or 3 frame window. I do them in any percent. That could always be implemented in Hundo, which would bring like sub 1 hour a bit closer, but still quite far away.
Mm-hmm. Maybe sub 101 at least, right?
Yeah, like I said, I have a 101.14. I can definitely get under 101.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess a minute is a lot of time.
Yeah. I never talked about a really cool technique Crash has is a submarine jump. It's kind of a funny name. It was coined that by a Japanese tasser. It's where if you spin, Crash spins. It's his attack. If you spin as you fall off a ledge, you have a 10-frame window to jump again after the spin finishes. And I'm going to bring up DKC for the 50th time, but it's kind of like rolling off a ledge and then jumping. It's basically the same idea. But that technique allows for skipping cycles, doing jumps you're not supposed to.
That's a significant
It's
window.
really cool. Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah,
because you can also
that's a third of
buffer
a second,
inputs.
right? Because it's 30 FPS.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can kind of buffer inputs in Crash. There's a lot of leeway, like coyote time and stuff like that. That's why that works, is the
Okay.
coyote time.
I see. I didn't know that game had coyote time. That's
Yeah, pretty much all the Crashes do, except on GBA, and you can really notice it on GBA. It's SMB1 mode. You gotta actually time all the jumps.
so unfortunate. Well, I don't know what else to ask, but
the last thing I have in my notes is, I guess, the future.
Oh yeah.
With me and speedrunning.
I mean, I was gonna ask that at the end anyway, so.
Okay.
I guess that works out pretty well.
Yeah, perfect. I don't have any plans to pick up other Crash games I haven't ran. I think I've already ran all the ones I want to. And I'll always try and improve them, I think. But there are plenty of games I want to pick up that aren't Crash, like Quake. I actually have it up here. Quake for PC. It's a really cool speedrun with the bunny hopping, rocket jumps, strafe jumps, power bunny hops. It's one of my favorite games too. I think it's my second favorite game. I want to pick that up maybe this year or next year. If I don't do that, then I'll do DKC2 102% or DKC3 103%. I always thought I guess I forgot to mention I do have an NES. I don't have a flash cart, but it'd be cool to run SMB1 on console with more effort and also pick up 2 and 3, maybe Lost Levels as well.
Sub 5's easy.
Yeah. When I ran SMB1 in 2017, I did Fire Flower strats because I was lazy.
I mean, that's, in my opinion, that is the correct way to start. Because
Oh, yeah.
that makes everything so much easier for a beginner.
Yeah, I think the reason I stuck with it was like I felt I couldn't do the pipe jumps with all the input lag on the MU.
Oh yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Mario
Yeah,
1
it'd be
is
cool to
certainly a
do
game
that.
you can't have input lag for. And I say this as
Yeah.
someone who, when I played on emulator up until like 457, um, let's see, that took maybe 6 months or whatever. I think I had like 10 frames of input lag.
Oh man, brutal.
I don't know how I did it, but I remember I went to that GDQ summer 2018, tried console for the first time, and it became like incredible all of a sudden. I was like, what happened? Input lag. That's what happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Input lag bad.
I hate input lag. I'm
Mhm.
CRT gang forever.
Yeah, I gonna continue doing all my speedruns on CRT because I have it here and it works. But now I have this really nice like OLED television 4K, but I have a retro
Oh,
tank now,
nice.
and part of it is now I if I want to play a retro game, I can eliminate the input lag, and the TV has like a thing that negates almost all input lag. So very
That's good.
nice. Yes, I never have to worry about that.
That's good. I people have asked me when I'm gonna get an upscaler because I still use composite just because I'm lazy and don't really
I
care a
mean,
whole lot about that kind of thing.
yeah, if it works, it works. Yeah, if you don't care, there's no reason to. So
Yeah, and I'm terrified of the input lag. Like even if it's just a frame, I don't know how much that'll throw me off. Like even in Crash, where you can buffer a lot of inputs, I don't know. I'm just scared because I know the last GDQ, uh, I played on upscalers. I wanted to practice Crash One because I was wanting to run it again, but I couldn't because there was just too much input lag on it.
mm-hmm.
So even though it was supposed to be like low latency upscaler, but yeah,
Yeah, I feel like at like GDQs when you're playing a monitor, I feel like there's like one frame or something at least.
yeah.
Oh no, I guess it depends, but no, I use an upscaler for capture, but I have a splitter. I still play in CRT and then split the other thing to my retro tank into my capture card into my computer.
Okay, I see. Interesting.
It works.
Yeah, that sounds like it works good.
Yeah,
I have a
so
buddy who's. Go ahead.
my CRT does do component anyway, which is nice. So it makes the whole thing like there's no like problems with the way it's all set up. But yeah, I'm able
It's
to
good.
just play on the CRT with no input lag and still have the highest quality capture possible. So pretty good.
Good. Good.
That's an option.
Yeah, I know if I ever did want to get into it, there's lots of support for that kind of thing out there.
Mm-hmm.
Good friend of mine, Dill Wingo, knows a lot about that, so he'd be the first one I go to. You've had him on your podcast before.
I have, yes, and he's
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Maybe still here.
Yeah.
The call out. Anyway,
Yeah. Big call outs.
no one is safe.
Yeah. I had a paste spin of future games I might run in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the reason I brought up like Mario Mario on NES is I had an idea a long time ago where if I learn all the games, like I could do a big like 9 game run of Mario 1, 2, 3, DKC 1, 2, 3, and Crash 1, 2, 3, 100%
Ah, the
back to back.
trilogy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It sounds crazy, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. But I don't want to do it just casually. Like I want to actually learn all the games first.
Yeah. I've heard and seen crazier, so
Yeah, definitely.
it's a fun idea.
Yeah,
Fun personal project. I think that'd go over pretty well.
yeah. I've messed with SMB2 USA a lot. That's a really, really cool run.
That game is hard as hell though.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
definitely.
There are no like baby strats when it comes to that game. Well, I mean, technically, I mean like more like you can't just grab a power up and ooh, I got
Yeah,
hit. Time for power up. No, little harder in that
yeah,
game.
yeah. And then the boss kills and all
Boss
that.
kills and also there's not infinite continues.
Yeah, yeah,
That game is hard as hell.
yeah.
Maybe even harder than 2J, which is a fun twist of irony, but
Yeah, speedrunning will twist that up.
obviously I'm biased, so I can't say for the matter, but
Yeah, yeah. I think I'd run. It'd be cool to run SMB2J as well. I really like the Mario 1 engine.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you know how to control Mario properly, it's really fun to do
Yeah,
it fast.
there is a reason I've been doing it for 8 years.
Yeah,
Although I really should
like
expand my palette, and I have a little bit, but not too much.
yeah, there's always a chance to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said I would pick up DKC 101 for so many years, and I finally did it last year. So anything's possible.
Anything's possible. True. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, yeah, and then there's SMW as well.
Mm-hmm.
The copium of learning that.
The 96 exit cope. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
even
thought
like
about
all
that myself, but that just looks so brutal.
yeah, it's a
I'll
lot to learn.
I'll have to at least try like no Star World first, ease into it.
Yeah, or all castles or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did a bit of 11 exit. It was fun. Not a
Yeah,
whole
I've
lot.
touched on 11 exit a little bit.
It was just glitchless. Like I didn't even learn the orb.
Yeah, same.
Pretty.
I have what like an
Yeah.
1106 glitchless. I think
Yeah.
that's what
I
I
don't
have
even
right
know what
now.
my time is.
I did a 12-hour challenge, and that's all I've
Oh,
done.
okay.
So
Yeah, I've done that a few times. Not recently though. I prefer to just learn at my own pace, I guess.
yeah, I mean the like whole official 12-hour challenge I think has been discontinued anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's
rest
right.
in peace. But
Yeah.
that's how I learned what Mario 3 Warpless, Mario 2 all levels, Mario World 11 exit, Sonic 2 even,
Oh wow. It's a
Odyssey.
lot of.
I think I've done 5 of them. God damn.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's more than I thought, but yeah, I listed them off. Good times. Well, did you
Yeah.
say
So
everything on your notes?
yeah. Yeah. I think so. Just yeah. The last thing was future. I'll either learn Quake or another DKC game most likely,
Mm-hmm.
but anything's possible. I could always be something else that catches my eye that I want to learn.
Yep. Well, have we discussed everything?
I think so, yeah.
You think so? All right. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely don't want to miss anything, but
Yeah, yeah, 10 years is a long time, but I think that's most of the highlights.
mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Crash One, very popular game, and what you have both any percent in Hundo right now?
Yeah, I've had them for a while now. The 100% one I've had for like 6 years, 90%. Always less focused on that. But yeah, I got that back in late 2023.
Yeah.
I'd like to improve that one as well at some point.
Well, that's something to look forward to, I suppose.
Yep.
Well, I guess that's really everything. If you did future plans, sounds like we talked about everything you can think of, so it means I'm satisfied. So I guess we can call it a day.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I'll ask for you then is self promotion. However you want to.
Yeah, sure. So it looks like you have everything on the stream layout. My Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I stream at a pretty late time for North America because I work late. I work till like 8 to 10 p.m.
Oh my.
sometimes.
I'm sorry.
I actually don't mind it that much, believe it or not.
All right. Well, as long as you can sleep, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I still get good sleep.
That's good.
Yeah, my Twitter. I don't post on my Twitter anymore. I still browse it, and I'm not gonna delete my past tweets or anything, but I solely post on Blue Sky now, so be sure to
Based.
follow me on that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
me
I like
too.
Blue Sky a lot.
And it's been so nice for just actually seeing content I care about and, not hiding your links or whatever for other media. So
Yeah,
definitely like it a lot better for the speedrunning scene. Just much easier to
yeah,
get the information.
yeah. Me too. I wish more people would move to there.
Most people I care about have moved over, luckily. But yeah,
That's
there's some
good.
others that I think most people I care about that haven't moved over like just don't use social media that much anyway. So
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough.
yeah, it's kind of whatever to me. Like, but yeah. Good platform, would recommend. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's my promotion.
Yep, there we go. Well, that'll be all. So if you're watching live, this will be uploaded tomorrow because recording this in advance. But watching on YouTube, business as usual. Stay tuned. Episodes every Sunday. So far, so good. Yep, I've run out of outro ideas, so good enough, right? We did our job
Yeah.
today. All right,
Good.
cool. Well, thanks everyone for watching as always, and have a good day. Bye.
Peace.